Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do, because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes. Get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN.
Is it going?
It's going.
It's going.
Real talk with Anita and Mel.
Hello.
Welcome.
It's been like 37 and a half weeks since
years.
we did this. That's like the time it takes to gestate a baby.
That's creepy.
And also not true. It has not been that long. Yeah, so we're just getting back to this after the holidays where we were incapable of putting together a podcast.
Yes.
So here we are.
We're alive.
Hello.
Sort of.
No, we are totally alive. I'm a medical professional. You are alive. I am alive. Our bodies are alive.
What does the medical professional have to do with being alive? It doesn't have to do with anything.
Sure it does. I can tell you that you are alive because
you know that?
I'm like a doctor. So I can look at you and be like, you are alive.
I could also be like, I'm a human. I can tell you that you're alive.
But I could like take some like measurements of your like.
I have to cut all this out. This is so ridiculous.
It's awesome. So we have no plan about what we're going to talk about today.
Don't. But first, welcome to our podcast.
Oh yeah. I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
And we're just two young widows trying to figure out widow we do now. Blop.
Okay, Anita, a lot has happened since our last episode.
Yeah, I can't even actually remember when we recorded our last episode.
I think we had Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because you had new goals and things like that
Mm-hmm.
about sleeping,
Right.
kids sleeping.
Okay. True.
The next thing was my anniversary. December 15th.
Did we record after your anniversary?
We
or
were
before?
Before. We were going to, but I was a mess.
Oh, that's right. You were like, goodbye, tapped out.
Yep. I didn't expect that. I thought I was going to be fine.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised at how hard Thanksgiving was. So I was like, surely Christmas is going to be worse because Christmas is a more major holiday. And then it wasn't. So I'm like, how in the world are you ever supposed to predict when things are going to be terrible and when things are going to be just okay? It's so annoying.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
There needs to be a chart.
But See, there's no order. It's very random. Basically, what I think the rules are for grief, for its own game, are when you expect it to be bad, it's going to be fine, and vice versa.
Hello? Who can we talk to about getting some order to this grief business? Mel is looking at me with eyes like, no. Nobody. It's very perplexing. Voldemort. All right. Let's get a letter written to him.
Santa.
Maybe that's why Christmas wasn't so terrible. But I thought it was going to be awful. And then it wasn't. So, okay. So last podcast, we were anticipating your anniversary. Then we were anticipating Christmas. We were anticipating New Year's. And then we were anticipating Jason's deathiversary.
And now
all of those
we're
things
past
are
all of that.
done. Yeah. So let's just talk about what went down.
So anniversary, mine first.
You first.
Man, I'm trying to remember. It was so far back.
Yeah. All I know is that you told me that you were going to have to take some anxiety drugs and then you were off the grid for a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be okay. Usually what I do for holidays or anniversaries is I clear my day and I have zero expectations. And this time I had scheduled myself to play at a church service in the morning. And I thought it would be good because I like going there. I like playing. I get to play with a band. There's a tambourine. It's amazing.
Everything's better with a tambourine.
I'm serious. It's the best instrument ever.
Was it on a Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what it was. I woke up and the day just had a hold of me. And all I could do was go and play the service. And then I went home and I couldn't get out of bed and I had to take drugs. And I even had a friend staying at my house for that whole week. And that was his last day. And I couldn't even leave my room. So it was hard. That's kind of all I remember about it. And I remember it took about 4 days for me to come out of it. And then I was so frustrated that I knew the anniversary was coming.
Yeah.
I knew how to cope with whatever was going to happen. But then it still took me days to be okay. Okay, in air quotes.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was hard for me. But it passed. It happened. And then we were approaching Christmas.
Yep.
Which you were very trepidatious about.
Yeah, I was super nervous about Christmas. Like I was saying before, Thanksgiving had been so hard. And so I figured that Christmas was going to be worse. But it wasn't. And leading up to Christmas, I had some neighbors and friends do some super nice things for our family. And that was so kind. And then I would feel guilty after somebody would give me something or offer to do something for me because I just kept thinking like it didn't fix anything. And then I felt bad because I was like, you should take your gift back because it didn't fix me. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like this weird, I don't know what to do about this. But then I just was like, you know what? The point of it is not to fix it. The point is that there was a gesture of kindness and that kindness was received with gratitude, but not, it didn't like make things go away, which sometimes I think people are trying to do. You know, they're like, this will help you. This will fix it. So, some of them are very helpful in a very concrete and practical way. So that was very nice. And then Christmas came and my kids were super excited to be alive and to be like, Santa's coming. And I just kind of got caught up in that, you know, and I was like, it was good that they were so excited because I was like, how can you be not excited when that's going on? And I think that might have been, I have no idea, but why Thanksgiving was hard and Christmas wasn't, it was because there wasn't people that were like so excited that you couldn't really not be excited.
Your 3-year-old didn't wake up and scream, "We get cranberry sauce today!"
No.
It's 5 a.m. When can I have it?
This did not happen, but I'm kind of curious if there's a story behind that.
Nope.
No.
I'm just amazing.
Okay, cool. No, my kids did wake up super early, but whatever. I mean, that's normal. And I was expecting it. So that was fun. But the other thing that I've been looking forward to for so long and was waiting for it to happen on Christmas Day was I gave a gift to my kids and to my in-laws that is from Jason.
What?
I know.
Did he haunt you?
Sort of.
Explain.
So a few weeks after Jason died, I was looking through his like some papers and cards and notes we'd written back and forth to each other and in his journal, and he had some loose papers in one of his journals, and I pulled them out and I opened them up and read through them and realized that he had written a kid's book before he died. And in the back of my head, I remembered him vaguely saying he had this idea for a kid's book and he wanted to write a kid's book. So I got a hold of a friend of Jason's who is an illustrator, like a graphic artist and illustrator, and asked him if he would illustrate it so I could make it an actual book and like finish Jason's desires, finish his plan. What is that? Finish his project. Book. Anyway, so it was a lot of back and forth right before Christmas to get it done, but got it done, got it here, got it to my kids and to my in-laws.
I've seen it and it's so cool.
It's super cute.
What were people's reactions?
My kids were sort of like, we don't care. We're just so like hopped up on candy. And, like, I think that it will take them a little while to realize like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Dad wrote that book. And I put like a little blurb at the end explaining where it had come from. So that's kind of fun. And my in-laws and we just cried. So yeah, like a good cry, but still, I mean, it was tender. So
that's hard.
Yeah.
So you can buy Anita's book.
You so can.
For like $100.
No, it's not even that much.
Oh, how much is it now?
It's $16.99 right now.
Oh, you got it to $16.
Yeah, it was never $100.
It was like $45.
Oh, it's because I had to order, and that's a whole different.
Okay.
I had to order it as a photo book to get it here on time, but then it's being adjusted to a real, like, book you would buy at a book place.
Are you gonna sell it to the public?
Yeah.
Should we talk about that on this?
Yeah. Or if you want one of Jason's books, go to mrcoilsmustache.com.
Do you know how to spell mustache though?
Do you know how to spell coil?
I do. But
okay. It's
no one else.
Do you know how to spell Mr? MRCOYLESMUSTACHE.
I thought mustache was MOUSTACHE.
Shoot. Now who knows? Let's look it up.
Google it.
Moustache.
Unless you just spelled it wrong.
Well, that would be sad because can I tell you a funny thing about that? When I went to go buy the domain, I was like, well, I should look up and see if Widow We Do Now is available. And I looked it up and it was taken and I was so angry. I was like, who bought our domain? Those jerks, they're terrible people and I hate them all. In my mind, I was convinced that there was like a super evil group of people who waited for new podcasts to come out and then they jumped in and swooped up and took their names. And then I saw that the person who owned it was from Utah. And I was like, Mel, who bought our name? And she's like, I bought our name. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I bought it before we even released any episodes.
So that super secret group of evildoers couldn't swoop in and steal it.
Yep.
You were doing well. Okay, look at this. Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone, But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Okay. Anita has Googled the word mustache. M-U-S. Tash. It's a word. Now do the other one.
Yeah, I am. Mustache and moustache are both correct spellings of the same word.
Oh, no.
Mustache is the most common spelling in the United States. Moustache is used in Other English-speaking countries. Mustachio is usually spelled without an O in the first syllable. Although in the UK it is commonly written as a plural. Mustachios.
Or pistachios. Mustachio sounds like a German band.
That'd be cool. I'd maybe
Or
go
an
see
Italian
him.
band. Yeah.
Anyway.
Speaking of our friends from the United Kingdom, the UK, we have a listener that wrote in. Hello, Mr. David Kelly.
From Great Britain. He wrote to us a question.
Can I please explain the Great Britain thing? Because
you're feeling sensitive. Okay. Go ahead.
So when I check the analytics for the podcast, it tells us the cities where people are listening. And I Googled the name of one of them, which was Islington. And my apologies, I thought it was pronounced Islington, like an isle, I-S-L. But what is it? Islington? I'm sorry, all of our UK friends, all one of you. And it said Great Britain, so that's why I said Great Britain. I've never even said the words Great Britain until the podcast. I usually say the UK, so my apologies.
Even the Great British Baking Show?
I don't say those words.
Oh.
I don't watch it. Listen, I watch Forensic Files.
That's true. You are not a normal human.
Okay. Back to Anita.
He wrote us a question that we would like to read. Okay. It says this. Is there something that you've either gained or lost an interest in or enthusiasm for since becoming a widow? Mel.
I have an answer.
Good.
Yes. I have gained an interest and enthusiasm for dogs.
That you did not have before.
I loved animals before, but I relied on it more after Scott's death to survive and to have something to care for. I think I've talked about this before, so this is not new. But I'm obsessed even more.
I was just going to say that because Mel has sometimes texted me and said things like, I just took the boys to their agility lessons. And I'm like, that sounds like you're talking about human boys.
Yeah.
Mel's in love with her dogs.
I'm obsessed with them. And to me, they are my version of children, since I will not be having any.
Oh, also, that's a thing.
Yeah, and I'm like a crazy dog lady now, and I don't care.
What about lost interest in?
Everything else.
Like being
food.
Alive?
Don't care about being alive. Don't care about food. I've always cared about my students, and when I have lessons with them, it's nice to feel that connection of helping them and seeing them grow. So I guess kind of in the wasteland of me not caring, I have these little poppies popping up, or crocuses that are my students.
Crocuses.
That are like these cute. Yeah. So so that's not changed, like helping kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think I feel more of a resolve to help them even more, which I've always had, but I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I don't care about anything else.
Interesting.
Like traveling, I used to be like, I can't wait to go here and here and here. And now it's like, what's on Netflix? Also.
But not the Great British Baking Show.
No, it's boring. Listen, you and Scott could have watched that together. Jason and I would have watched other things, I'm pretty sure.
Monster movies. That's what Jason liked to watch.
I used to be obsessed with skiing.
But you're going to get back to that, aren't you, this winter? TBD.
No, because my spine's... I have been playing more video games now than ever.
Interesting.
So that's happened. And yeah, music has changed for me. Music is always weird because it's my job. And so I think my relationship with music is different than people who don't have it for a job. And it's been hard. But in the last 2 weeks, I've been listening to music more. Not I mean, I'll listen to it when I have to learn something for a gig or for a project, but not for fun. I've only been listening to audiobooks. And since the day Scott died, I've had a hard time with music for some reason. But I noticed that that's changed. It went away and now it's sort of coming back if it's the right thing. How about you, Anita? I just blabbed on forever.
Yeah, that's a really good thing though, because I'm sitting here thinking like, I don't know the answer.
You're also like 1 year.
Yeah. So something that I don't think I can say I've lost an interest in, but I feel has changed a great deal for me is the idea of family vacations. Like right now they feel impossible to me. Like in my mind, I'm like, we'll never go anywhere ever again. Which is too bad because like I really mourn the loss of being able to just go on an adventure. But physically and logistically, I just don't feel like I can take my kids anywhere ever again. And people are always like, you'll get back to it. And I want to say, shut up. You don't know that.
Hey, Anita, don't worry. You'll get back to it.
Shut up! Need to turn the gain down. I'm going to do that.
Stay in there. Distortion.
A lot of things that I did before I have started doing with way more ferocity, like the whole training for that race. It went from being kind of like a side hobby to being like all I was living for about 6 months. So I'll say that as my answer.
Great.
Very good. I want you to tell us about your Christmas though too, because you still had Christmas.
Yeah. I was not sure what to expect. And of course, I let everybody know that I would not be visiting anybody. I would not be leaving my house. And I didn't until the night when I came over here to your house.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But that was like late too. It was like Christmas was done by then.
Yeah,
so.
it was done. It was super chill. My sister came over later in the day and there were no expectations from the beginning of the day to the end. And it was amazing.
You had some older individuals. I shouldn't say old people because they're not really old people, but like our parents' age people at your house.
I did.
You sent me some pictures of the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen.
Okay, so I have an Aunt Nancy and an Uncle John. They're hilarious. And they came over mid-afternoon with my other uncle. So this is mostly my dad's side of the family. Mm-hmm. And my sister had gotten me this really hilarious game that you can do all sorts of varieties of. And we did charades. But the thing about it is you had to do it with doll hands.
So you're like wearing these sleeves that have tiny little doll hands sewn onto the end of the sleeve. So then you like slip those over your real hands. And then you have these tiny doll hands at the end of your arms. And then I don't even know what was going on, but it was like these people in like button-up shirts and slacks with these doll hands on.
And my dad trying to do charades of Michael Jackson moves with tiny doll hands. It was so funny and so fun.
Oh, gosh.
So that happened.
Yeah. And I was so happy when I texted you and you were having a good day. I was like,
thank you.
Yay.
I was happy that you were having a good day.
I know.
I can't believe that we both had good days and we both survived.
Yeah, totally.
It was great.
I mean, there is always like this backdrop of like, this is different. This is not how it should be. This is not normal. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like, I can't get out of bed. Like, I'm crying all day.
My first one was like that.
Yeah. So I was glad it wasn't like that. And I don't know if it would have been different without the kids to be like, oh my gosh, you know, we can eat cranberry sauce.
Yummy.
But it wasn't like that.
Fruit cake.
So, New Year's.
I was in Vegas.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And you hate Vegas.
I hate Vegas.
I hate Vegas.
No offense to
Vegas.
Residents of Vegas. We like you.
Yeah.
Vegas is just not my speed.
It isn't mine either. Although that's one of the final like things Jason and I did together. Not final, but we went to Las Vegas together. Just the two of us, which did not happen very often that we would go somewhere without our kids for like a couple days. We went to a swim meet in Las Vegas in February. And we had the most fun walking up and down the strip. It was in February. It was freezing cold. All of the teammates wanted to go to like a show. And I was like, I don't really want to pay $90 for a show that I don't like really want to go to. So they all went to the show and we just walked around and we had so much fun. So it does have a little bit of a like redeeming factor there, but I don't want to go without Jason.
Right.
So, blah.
Mine and Scott's first anniversary was in Vegas.
Oh, was it? Where'd you stay?
Or did we stay? I don't remember.
I
I had a
hope so.
show there, and so he was with me. But I do remember we went to a restaurant where we had these super teeny tiny tacos.
What?
Yeah.
That's
I think
fun.
it was Wolfgang Puck's restaurant. It was so delicious.
Called Wolfgang Puck's Tiny Tacos.
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang. Okay.
9.
My widow friend Bryn lives outside of Vegas.
Hi, Bryn.
Hi, Bryn.
Did you go to high school with us?
Yes.
All right.
She did.
Great.
Actually, we went out to lunch last weekend, and it was amazing.
You cheated on me.
I totally did.
It's okay.
It was awesome because we got to talk about our kids. So that was good.
Yeah.
New Year's.
We played for the Caesar's Palace New Year's Eve party.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Did you have to wear a toga?
No.
That would have been cooler, but
It was
chillier.
It was actually really fun.
Oh, good.
I got done at 10:30 because we opened for a couple of the main acts.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And it was my last gig with my band that I have been with for 15 years. So it was a great way to close it out. Everyone did so great. I was proud of them. We had great sound, good in-ear monitor mixes.
I love it when
all
that
the
happens.
techie things.
Because when my in-ear mixes are on, I am on.
It's true.
So
it was great. And
good.
I got my own room.
Yeah.
Which is always good.
So New Year's for me was a little sketchier maybe than Christmas.
I don't even know what you did. I'm learning about this.
You are learning about
right
this.
Now.
Just because, so New Year's, January 2nd, January 3rd, death.
Yes.
So it was really close, and it was just a lot of memories of things. And I feel sort of terrorized by those memories, if that makes any sense. Like, I just want to go back in time and slap myself and be like, Anita, prepare yourself. But I don't get to do that, right? But I just feel like this anxiety about knowing now what was coming, but not knowing it then, not knowing that like I'd have 2 more days with Jason and then he would be gone without like any forewarning. So the other thing is that you alluded to this earlier, that bedtime has become kind of a, what's the right word? I have had to become protective of bedtime. It's something that I'm learning as I'm kind of figuring all of this out. That one thing I need to make sure of is that my kids get enough sleep. So they wanted to stay up till midnight. And I was like, no. So then we had a big fight.
Really?
Yeah. Because when my kids don't sleep, they're grouchy. And then when they're grouchy, then it's harder to manage them. And then I'm grouchy. And then I'm a terrible, terrible human. And I say terrible things to my kids. So that's like one of my coping mechanisms, is to know what I need to do and to protect that. So I did let them stay up later than we would have normally. But we generally go to a New Year's Eve party at our friend's house. So we went there and then we came home early. And partially, I also didn't want to be there at New Year's midnight.
The stroke of midnight.
The stroke of midnight. Because generally what we do then is, what do you do at the stroke of midnight?
You make out with people.
You make out with your person. And I would have been like standing there. Yeah, my person's dead, but you guys all kiss. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I love my life.
Stab through the heart.
Yeah. So we came home early and my kids were not happy, and they were still grumpy the next day, but way less so than if we had gone like to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. Cause even after you leave, you have to get home and then get everybody to bed. So that was my New Year's. It wasn't great. It wasn't horrible.
So that also means that it was the year anniversary of your surgery.
So my surgery was on the 2nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, surgery day, death day.
And it's funny because like surgery day to me, it kind of blends with the next day, because after my surgery, I was like drugged up and recovering. And so Like I don't really have like that day is sort of really foggy into the next day. And so it's kind of weird. It's like the second was the last day that I really have solid memories. And then it was sort of weird. And then the third. And then I have memories of that night. But still, I mean, just like not really solid ones.
And now here you are a year later.
Yeah.
Still in the wishy-washy.
Yeah. So then it was time for deathiversary.
Yes.
So people were asking me weeks and months ahead of time, and maybe we even talked about it, like that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I just don't know. I even Googled like, what do you do on the deathiversary? You know,
Go to Disneyland.
that would have been cool. But remember, no vacations.
No.
They're done. Fun is done. Life is done.
Wait, speaking of fun, now that you have lived through holiday seasons and a deathiversary, think back to when you decided you wanted to do No Joy November.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still think that was a good idea?
Yes.
No, you don't. I watched you.
Guess what I'm doing right now?
Cranky. You're having all the sugar.
No.
0 sugar?
Mm,
What's the deal?
I gotta be better.
So wait, so do you regret it? Do you think it was a good idea? Bad idea?
No sugar November?
Yeah.
No, I still think it was a fine idea because I cheated all the time.
Okay, thanks. That's what I wanted to hear. I was right.
But again, the math was I wasn't eating sugar 100% of the time. So it was only like, whatever, 40% of the time. That's way better.
It is.
So I'm okay with that.
So back to deathiversary.
So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to think about it. It made me just feel like this, run away, run away, run away. So that was weird. But then the day before, and this is totally how I operate all the time, like what I wanted to do kind of came together in my head. I am not good at planning ahead. So
Who is? Are people?
Yeah, I think they are.
Oh, that's a skill?
Yeah. It's not my skill either. So the night before, I kind of figured out what I wanted to do. And so my therapist was like, well, do you want to like celebrate at the pool? And I was like, no, that's like where he died.
You had a freak out.
Yeah. We could talk about that after we talk. Do we want to talk about that now or after deathiversary? Yeah. So I swim at the pool 2 days a week. And it's like never been a real problem for me. I mean, sure, there's been times where I've like kind of started to get in my head and think like, oh, that's where you were swimming. Oh, that's where the changing, what do you call that? That's where the locker room is. Oh, that's the door they would have wheeled you out of. Those are the stupid little lifeguards, you know. I should not have called them stupid little lifeguards. I apologize. But
you just hate everything right now.
I am really grumpy right now. I am going to admit that. So I went to the pool. It was a Thursday night. I was already a little on edge because it was the day of the opening of Star Wars, the latest Star Wars movie. And I had a date, quote unquote, with some friends.
Okay.
Who Jason and I had always double dated at all of the other Star Wars premieres. So they were like, hey, let's finish out the tradition, come with us to this showing. And so I was already a little bit on edge thinking about like doing that, but without Jason, and it would be different. So then I went to the pool and they'd had a swim meet there earlier and they weren't quite ready for us to get in the water. So we're just sitting on the pool deck and I look over and they're doing lifeguard training. And one of the stupid little lifeguards, one of the very kind, intelligent lifeguards in training, I think, was doing CPR on a dummy, like on a CPR dummy. And all of a sudden I was like freaking out. I was just like, and then somebody said something kind of silly. She was like, oh, I hope he makes it. And
oh, no.
Yeah. And I was like, Aruga, Aruga, you know, danger, danger, danger. So I was with one of my friends and like, I think she could see that something was like, I was just like staring at that and just being like, oh, squirming. I'm not okay. I'm thinking about that night. So she's like, Anita, why don't you just get in the water and start swimming? So I like jumped in the water. The lanes weren't put up yet. I just started swimming and I was like trying to hold off like this feeling of impending freak out. I was trying to like ground myself, all the things they teach you to do, like listen to your breathing, feel the water, all of those things. And I just was like not succeeding. So I swam, and then I would like stop for a minute and just be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then swim for another minute. And finally I came to the edge of the pool, and I was just hanging onto the side of the pool, which is ironic because that's what Jason did too. He hung onto the side of the pool for a minute and then got out of the water. But my friend came over, the swim coach, and was like, are you okay? And I was like, no. And I just started bawling, and I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. Everybody was like, maybe you should get out of the water. And I just like cried and cried and cried and cried and could not get out of the water, because in my mind I was like, I'm gonna have to walk past the lifeguards. They're still doing CPR over there. It just was like,
frozen.
I was frozen, literally too, because when you're not swimming in the water, you start to get really cold. And so I'm like shivering, holding onto the side of the pool, just bawling my eyes out, not wanting to get out of the water. That's what Jason did. He got out of the water. I'm not getting out of the water. I'm staying in this water, and just not knowing what to do. And that's the first time that's happened to me, where I was like, I didn't know I didn't know what to do. I was just like frozen solid. And then finally the thing that like made me be able to get out was feeling embarrassed. Isn't that nice?
Shame is a many splendored thing.
Yeah, I was like, I need to get out of this water before all the rest of the swimmers are done, so I don't have to face any of them, and they're going to be like, well, that was weird, So I got out and left. But then it was time to go to Star Wars, and I was like, I can't. So I went home and I texted my friends, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. I am freaking out right now. So I went home, I got in the shower, and I sat in the shower for like an hour. And that's what I did. Okay, so that was my freak out. Have anything to say about that, Mel?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that it was almost a year later.
I am too.
You freaked out. You've swam so much there.
Yeah.
Since.
I think it was like a perfect storm of events. I was on edge about the movie. It was like Christmas time, thinking about the year before, and then like not being able to get in the water and just sitting there, and then that comment just all kind of came. And the thing is that the lifeguards are training there almost every time we go swimming. Their lifeguard training class is at the same time that swimming is. So it's not like it was anything new, which is why it was so weird that it just hit me. And again, I was like, what the heck? I can't predict any of this. It's so frustrating.
The grief gods are jerks.
Jerks.
Total jerks.
Yeah. Jackwagons.
So that's why you didn't want to do something at the pool for the deathiversary, right? I mean,
no, I was already feeling weird about that. I was like, that's super weird. It is weird. And it's tricky because that's something he loved to do. Those are all of his friends. So I don't know. It's like if your spouse died skiing and they loved skiing, would you go back to the ski resort for their deathiversary?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, right? But I don't know. Maybe a different ski resort.
Maybe on another anniversary.
I don't know. I just was like, no, I don't want to be in that same place to be like, oh yes, and this is where.
Here's where he died.
And here's where, yeah.
Here's where he never got back up.
Yeah.
That's no good.
Yeah.
So what did you do?
Okay. So I asked people to post pictures of mustaches on themselves on social media and tried to get lots of people to do that. Jason he always had different facial hair. So he just like changed it up all the time. So he'd have like a handlebar mustache, and then he'd have a goatee, and then he'd have a beard, and then he'd have a mustache, and it would just be like all the time different. So the mustache has kind of become his like symbol. Yeah. After he died. So they did that. And then we went and had hamburgers at Crown Burgers, which is like a local hamburger place. The thing is, he didn't have like one place that was his favorite, you know what I'm saying? So we just tried to pick one of those places, and then the other place was closed that night. That made me mad. And then I invited people over, asked them to bring a memory with them, which was really nice. I loved reading them, and people are so weird about it. They're like, no, I don't need to write that down. And I'm like, just do it. Like, it's so meaningful to me. And we had Mountain Dew because Jason loved Mountain Dew. So that's what we did. And we had lots of people come over and say hey and give me a hug. And Mel came.
I came.
She brought me a present.
I did.
Yeah.
A food saver. From my dead husband to your dead husband.
Everybody was like, what?
Were they really?
Yeah, a lot of people. I was like, didn't you know you were supposed to bring me a gift?
Duh.
A food saver of all things. So that was kind of funny.
Did they probably didn't know who I was, though, except for our friend Mark.
Actually, I think a lot of them know who you are because a lot of them listen to the podcast.
Oh, well, then they shouldn't have been surprised.
That's true. I don't know. Maybe half and half.
So it ended up being an okay day for you?
Yeah. I want to tell you like this other part of it is that. Tell you. I woke up that day and I just felt like this. Blah. Like not good, not bad. I just felt kind of a lack of anything. And I went for a run and it was like a nice day. Some days when you're running, it just feels good. You just feel like things are going well. And it doesn't feel too difficult. And I was just starting to hit the point where you get that runner's high. And I was listening to my Jason playlist and the song Happy from Pharrell came on. And that was like a meaningful song because Jason, anyway, there's a whole story behind it, but there's a line from it that's happiness is my truth. Clap along if happiness is your truth. And I was like, happiness is my truth. I'm a happy person and I get to choose if I want to be happy or not on this day. And I'm going to choose to be happy. I am not going to force myself to feel sad or to like dread this day. I'm just going to feel happy. And so I made that choice. And like, that's what it was for the rest of the day.
Did you think you had to force yourself to be sad?
No, but there's kind of this expectation like this is a sad day, right? This is when your husband died. This is a sad day. And I was like, no, I decided it's not. It's going to be a happy day.
It's always a paradox.
It is.
I think life is a paradox. Always.
It totally is.
You're always navigating the good things with the tragic things. And you did a great job. I was so happy for you. I was so glad that it wasn't a terrible, terrible day and that you did something where you invited people over. Yeah,
I knew that I needed to do that because sometimes I want to hide, but I just know myself that I'm better when people are around showing me love. So
yeah, good.
I let them come and show me love.
So guys, we survived. We're back. Thank you for your patience. And Anita, you shared something with me today.
So there's a local newscaster in our area who just made a story about her husband dying last fall. And funnily enough, her husband was a physical therapist. Did you see that?
I did.
Isn't that crazy?
Did you know him?
No, but now I kind of want to know more about him just because we have that connection. Anyway, she was opening up, and the reason that she was kind of being public about it was that her husband died by suicide. And that opened kind of a dialogue between Mel and I about the differences in grief when dealing with suicide versus maybe a long protracted death from cancer or something expected versus something that's quick like an accident or what happened to Scott and Jason where it was quick with no warning.
So sudden death, but different than sudden death by suicide.
Yeah, because Jason and Scott didn't die by choice, right? And I mean, there's some argument that when you have mental illness that your choosing ability has been impaired, but definitely suicide is a different animal than...
Whole different thing. Yes. I don't know what it's like to lose a spouse to suicide, and of course can only imagine how even more difficult those things are, and so our hearts go out to her and her family, and we don't profess to be anywhere near that pool of grief.
Yeah.
I guess.
I was proud of her for bringing it up because I think that suicide often comes with a shame that people want to shut down because there's more judgment and there's more feelings. I think that the feelings, and again, we don't know this because we're not in this situations, in that situation, but the feelings of guilt might be much heightened because you would feel like there was something that you could have done. Now, I've learned that there's feelings of guilt universally. I have feelings of guilt. I don't know if you have feelings of guilt. I've talked to friends whose spouses have died of cancer or something long. They have feelings of guilt, like they could have done something differently, but I feel like it would be elevated in a suicide situation. So
Yeah. Her name is Lori Pritchard. You can look for her article if you Google, and she's on ksl.com.
yeah.
And it was a really nice article, and it looks like she took some time off of work, right? Like,
I think so.
I think the article mentioned something like 6 to 8 months or something. I'm sorry if my information is wrong, but yeah, it's so hard.
I had a couple people contact me on Instagram to tell me about that story, and so then I read about it, and it was really interesting, and I was proud of her for being public and opening up. Obviously, we're big fans of being open about things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to you for being open about something that's maybe even harder than what we're talking about.
Yes. I think when we talk on this podcast about how it's grief is grief, of course everybody's grief is going to be similar in a lot of ways, but I would imagine to be even more sensitive to people that have lost spouses or family members to suicide, because that is definitely a whole different ball game. I feel like that's the worst of the worst of the worst.
Yeah. There's this is going to sound silly, but I feel like there's simple grief and then there's complicated grief, and suicide takes you into the complicated grief category where, there's lots of different scenarios of complicated grief, but where there's anger at the same time, and there's, all of these mixed feelings. Instead of just being sad for the person, you're angry at them, you're sad, but you've got all these other feelings that are swirling around there too. And I know other people who have other complicated stories, where their spouse was abusing drugs or something and their marriage was bad, or, things like that make it trickier than just maybe what you and I have, because ours is, I feel like, kind of straightforward. Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. If you are a young widow or widower that has lost your spouse to suicide, we're so sorry. And if you feel like writing in and sharing your story, we would love to hear it. Of course, that's anything that you would like to share. And if we have said anything with the wrong words, we're so sorry, because we're stupid and we're trying to figure out this grief business as well. And so we hope that we haven't said anything that's offensive. Our hearts go out to you, like I keep saying, and we're bad with words, but we're thinking about you. So Anita, what are you doing this week?
My kids went back to school today. I cheered for joy. I don't know what I'm doing the rest of the week. Just like normal stuff. Nothing exciting. Dishes in the dishwasher. Going to work.
Nice.
Living the dream. What about you?
Going to New Orleans tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been. You'd think with all the traveling and touring I've done, I would have been there a bunch. Never.
That's true, because that's like jazz place.
Yeah. Never. I'm presenting at the Jazz Educators Network.
How did you get that job?
I don't know. It's just what I do.
They like contacted you and they said, please come talk to us?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a whole conference for kids and educators and performers. It's like a yearly thing. This year's it's in New Orleans. It's been in different cities in the past.
That's cool. Too bad you don't eat any food.
I know.
Because there's all sorts of like delicious food in New Orleans.
I don't even want to leave the hotel. Listen, I'm still in recluse mode, okay?
I know. We're opposites. How about we try and go there together, and we'll do like a Freaky Friday thing.
Yes.
So that I can eat the food.
And I can go to all the cemeteries.
That's right. And all the like haunted plantation-y things or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking that it'd be awesome if I taught the jazz classes, because I'd be like, play some notes, do some things.
Play the clarinet.
Play the clarinet, but do it like cool.
I can't wait. I think you should post your video of you playing clarinet.
Listen, I am a semi-professional clarinetist.
Emphasis on the semi. She's amazing.
I'm amazing.
At being semi-professional.
Yeah, and I'm a jazz clarinetist too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I could teach the class. I feel like no problem.
Yeah. Anita does free jazz on the clarinet.
Free jazz. Mm-hmm. Mel charges for her jazz.
I do. But Anita gives it for free.
Yeah, I'm an open source jazz giver.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, okay, great. Hopefully, by the time we edit this podcast together, it will be coherent.
And
if
it will
it's
be
not,
awesome.
sorry. Also, we did have one more question from our friend David Kelly in the UK about our Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
We suck.
Yeah.
Anita's in charge of the Twitter.
So basically what Mel just said, let me just like translate that. She was like, Anita sucks at social media for us.
Yep.
And I'm cool with that.
It's okay.
So maybe we'll tweet someday. Who knows?
No, well, I by default suck because I don't even do any of it.
Yeah, except for you edit everything. So you get all of the kudos.
Well, I do all that work, yes.
Plus, you own our domain.
I do.
So I have to like be really careful because I don't want to make her angry.
Nope.
So we lose the domain.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Mel, for coming over and just chatting with me.
It's
just
so good
checking
to see
in.
you.
It's nice to know that we're still here.
Yes.
Join us next time as we try to figure out
What do we do now? This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it, and my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys. Such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.